the section that requires the most detail. So I'll be interrupting even more than I have in the past to really drill down. As an example, let's say that you were going into a board presentation to actually give a presentation. And you say, well, I walked in the room, and I'm going to stop you and say something like, back me up. Before you walked in the room, your hand was on the doorknob. What were you thinking? Or I could ask a feeling question. What were you feeling? So that's the level of detail and the type of interruptions you may see here. Now, a couple other things that are key. It's really important for us to understand what you were doing in these situations. So I heard a number of cases earlier where you were saying, you know, what we did here. Now, sometimes we is appropriate because as a team, you maybe did something, or with a partner, whatever the case may be, a colleague. But I'm going to stop you in most cases where you use we and say, please use I. Throw modesty to the wind. We need to know what you were as the agent of that particular activity. And that's the only way we'll know what, you know, do you have what we're looking for in those types of situations. If you say things, what I call the LY words, typically, basically, usually, occasionally, I'll stop you because they're somewhat high level and a little bit hypothetical. I'll say, great, Suzanne, but give me a real specific example if you would. All right, so there's that kind of a drill down. You may find that I cut some of the story short because it may be something that we've already heard, some of the information we're looking for in the earlier conversations in the first 3 sections, or we're hearing some of the same things in the stories. So don't be put off by that. It doesn't mean it's wrong. It's just that, okay, we got it. Let's move on. Let's try a different story. The stories themselves are totally up to you. We don't care about the content. That may seem unusual because, as you know, in most interviews, they're very content-focused questions. But here, no, you pick the content, and then we'll take it from there. Now, to really get the story rolling, what I need is almost what we would call the elevator speech, like the 1-minute description, encapsulation of the story itself. And I need 3 things. The first thing I need to know is whether it's an up story or a down story. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, we're looking for both positive and negative situations in your career. A positive situation is something that has stuck with you that you felt good about. Didn't have to be something on the front page of the newspaper, winning Nobel Prize, that sort of stuff. But just something you felt good about, that you had a key role in. Flip side, on the downside, not looking for abject failures. Although if you want to give us one, that's fine. But it's something that didn't feel so good, that has stuck with you. A disappointment, a goal not met, something that went over budget or took longer. You know, something that you probably might say to yourself, if I had a do-over, this is how I would do it differently. So we're going to look for a couple ups and a couple downs. So when I talk about needing to get that little snapshot at the beginning, I need to know if it's an up or down. Just 2 or 3 sentences, no more than a paragraph, because I don't want to start the story yet. This is encapsulation. 2 or 3 sentences about what was the situation and what made it an up or a down. And then time frame. And I'm not talking necessarily the years it took place, but, oh, Bill, this took place over a 2-day period, a 2-week period, a 2-month period. So I need to know whether it's an up or down, and you get to choose it. I need to know what made it an up or down, just what was the context, and then what was the time frame. And you can take as much time as you want to come up with a story. If you have any questions along the way, like before, we want to keep it informal, you need a break, that's all great. So whenever you're ready, I need a story and I need the snapshot to start it.